G'day and welcome to some Chillout 3D modeling. I'm Eric, and today I'm going to be making Sparks the robot. As always, whenever you're making a 3D model, you should start with your reference image. Today I've made one myself. This one is a little sketch of what I want Sparks to look like. I'm having him be a little smaller, having him hooked up to a 16 volt car battery on his back, and he'll be using that as like a defense mechanism or a way to recharge other robots that need power quickly. Sparks is a friend of the previous robot that I made, which I've now decided to call Mirror. They are a team. They work together to help repair robots. The robots that come into their workshop have parts missing that have been harvested from them by malicious robots. The role that Sparks has is that he goes out into the junkyards to try and find unrepairable robots and harvests them for parts. Or if he finds any robots that are injured but can be repaired, he brings them back to the workshop so that Mirror can help them. The jumper cables are made with a plane that I wrap around and form into the general shape of the jumper cables. Since jumper cables are made of they almost seem like a piece of sheet metal that has been wrapped around to form a clamp shape. I've done so with a flat plane of vertices. I've wrapped it around and formed the general shape of it in almost a completely flat manner. Then I apply a thickness as a solidifier modifier to it to give it thickness instead of it being infinitely thin. That I then am able to control after the fact and edit the thickness and the rest of the mesh in a much simpler manner than if I had already applied it and having to move all those vertices manually. After making the hands, I go through and add all sorts of bits and pieces to the arms and that bring it all together. Like I connect a large cable that runs from the first jumper cable to the associated jumper cable on its battery backpack. I also attach a couple of big bolts to the arm to make it look like the jumper cable has been bolted in place so it can't be removed. It is a part of the robot. I also add little straps to the shoulders of the robot to make the battery pack feel kind of like a backpack. Be it absurdly large, a backpack nonetheless. Another advantage of the big backpack is that it makes the rest of the robot feel really small and cute. There's similar cuteness to like WALL-E. Like they're dirty, but they're a cute little dirty creature. After I was happy with the entire arm and battery pack, I copy the the upper arm joint, elbow and forearm, and move that around to be used as the leg. It is currently Christmas as I record this, so I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Now back to the fun stuff. After I've put everything together, I go through and minimize the amount of polygons I've used. I've realized that quite a few of those cylinders and the cable have just ridiculously high poly counts. The cable had 7,000 triangles in it, so better cut that down. I replaced the cable with a path, and instead of using a subdiv subdivision surface modifier and a skin wrap modifier on that, I just use a path and add a thickness to it in its the path settings. Off camera, I rig the character ready for it to be animated, and I also UV unwrap the character so we can send it straight over to texturing. And now we're in Substance Painter. The texture I'm going for is a rougher, worn metal for the main robot body, with copper for the clamps, as per the clamps would be made out of. The battery is going to be made out of a rusted, like plastic metal blend, with it all being very dirty and well worn, just to make it feel like it's been in the world for quite a while. You may see me doing quite a bit of trial and error in this phase, as I wasn't 100% sure on how I really wanted to fully go through with the textures. Especially with the battery, I swapped that out a few times, and especially while I was doing the various text, I was googling different batteries in the meantime, whilst pausing the recording every now and again. There's one thing about Substance Painter and converting it over to Blender is that the textures aren't 100%. They don't fully transfer texture for texture. Like the metallic and roughness maps, whenever I take them over to Blender, they seem a whole lot more shiny than when they were in Substance Painter. So I just have to keep that in mind and make everything a lot less shiny whenever I'm texturing in this program. They may have fixed that in the latest version, but I haven't been able to get that since they like to make their programs really expensive for no reason, and I just haven't gone around to it. Here you see me adding all the various components to the text components to the battery, the text and symbols. These I put on both sides, and the outer sides I also put a different symbol on there. That's just like electricity warning symbols and toxic warning symbols, I believe. These are just to make it feel like a battery. And I haven't added the wear and tear yet to the battery. That gets added afterwards so that it goes over the top of the text to make it all feel like it's all coherent. The text was there before it started wearing. It was at this point that I decided to fully go with the orange and white color scheme that I finally go with. I chose this one so that it more coherently fits the white and black battery that I was going for, and so that it all is a one cohesive character rather than a character with a backpack on, with a random ass battery on its back. And this is where the real wear and tear starts to be added, with the rust and dust. It really brings the character, makes it feel like it's really been worn and stood the test of time. I then proceed to add a bunch of rivets all over the robot to make it feel like it's being held together in a much more obvious manner than a real robot would. But it like the previous robot, it looks cool. Do it if it looks cool. I also proceed to swap out the main material that I use for the battery. Previously I used a scratched plastic base material that is in Substance Painter, but I replaced that for a dusty plastic to make it feel more worn, whereas the other one felt a little too clean for my liking, and I want this character to have been walking around for years. I then apply even more rust to the battery this time, and a layer of dirt across the entire thing, and make sure the dirt applies in greater amounts towards the bottom of the model and thins as it gets towards the top. And with that all done, it brings the texturing to an end. I do a few bits and pieces off the camera after I finish recording because I forgot to add them, like a blue rust to the copper and a few small bits and pieces here and there that I don't remember off the top of my head. But it brings us to the final renders. If you've watched this far, thank you for watching my video. It means a lot to me. Consider joining my Discord. I put little snippets of what I'm working on in there. I also like to talk to anybody who likes to listen, or I also like to check out any stuff that anybody else makes and wants to show me. I'm always interested. Consider subscribing. I'm almost at 100, and it'll be awesome if I actually reach that number. And I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.